Hi, so I'm going to teach features of connected speech to my adult Russian learners of general English class. Their main objective is to feel confident and fluent and to be fluent in their listening and speaking. So what I've noticed is that they very often understand words when they see them on paper, but they can't decipher them when they hear them. That's why very often, as they say, they want to run away when they see a native speaker because they're afraid that they would not understand a word. At the same time, they feel very confident when they use English as a lingua franca with non-native speakers. So I assume that this exercise, first of all, will raise their awareness of features of connected speech. We will also work out the physicality of certain features of connected speech, and then by the end of the lesson we'll have these features integrated to a certain extent in their own speech. So as far as the previous lesson was on lives of and biographies of famous people, in this lesson we're going to interview these people. So it's connected, thematically it's connected to the previous lesson. But we have to work out questions that we need to ask these people. So I will help them with the first three questions, and I will highlight that it's going to be an informal interview and we should sound very natural and relaxed. I will dictate the questions to them. They will write down the first three questions that I've thought of. Then they will give them 1 minute to check what they have, and if I see that they struggle, I will help them with the number of words there are in a question, and then I will write down all the questions on the whiteboard. After that, we'll try to understand what happens and why we hear 3 words instead of 5, or why we hear 1 word instead of 2, and what happens when words merge together and why they merge together. So they merge together because they are not stressed and they're not very important. So for that, I will mark stressed and unstressed words of questions, and I will try to elicit what they hear when, for example, d and y meet together in a question. So presumably they will definitely hear, because they are quite high-leveled students. It's B1 plus, and most of them have already learned some other language. Some students learned French, so they have listening skills. They can hear that something is. They will be able to hear that something is happening, and I hope they will hear j sound in j. I hope they will hear that I emit t in what makes. Here I will say that it's not very important, really. We don't. I'll try to make a joke and say that we don't really need this t. We don't have time to pronounce so many consonants, so we just emit it. So there's going to be an elision of t, assimilation of d, y that I've said. We'll also notice consonant and vowel linking, and I will use here Russian as a parallel because we have the same feature in Russian. So it's not going to be problematic for them. They already know vowel reduction, they know what schwa is, so they love this sound, especially the name of this sound. So vowel reduction is not a problem for my students. Then, after we do this, I plan to have choral, individual and whisper drill of these questions. And then we'll have a production stage where my students will have to think of 5 questions to a famous person, and then they will act out dialogue in their pairs, where one person is a famous person, the other one is an interviewer, and they will have to interview each other. First, student 1, student 2, one is a famous person, the other one is an interviewer, and then they swap. I will monitor and listen very attentively to how well they've managed to uptake these features and use them in their own speech. So what I should say about the overall feedback of this lesson from my students, they're totally in love with features of connected speech. They enjoyed drilling it, both choral drilling and individual drilling. It was great fun, and they were very proud of themselves because they felt that they sound a little bit more authentic, and it helped to raise their confidence, and it was very comforting, and it was very rewarding for me too. Thank you.